Lifetime movie jumps to the silver screen, growing even more powerful. You're watching Beyond the Trailer's review of The Last Robin Hood.
Errol Flynn. They don't make him like that anymore.
He's a rascal, that one.
There's a certain someone very much like to meet you.
Who?
Errol Flynn. You know who he is, don't you?
Sure, Robin Hood.
Woodsy!
I'm only in the chorus line. That's just for now.
She'd be perfect, don't you think? Very good. I've been looking for you all day.
Errol Flynn, baby. This is the big time.
I would really like to help her. Get her career going full steam.
You're flying too close to the sun, my friend. Your wings will get burned, you're gonna fall down to earth.
Yes, the Lifetime movie is legendary, beloved by its core demographic, mocked by all other demographics. But in the end, everyone does recognize the brand. And the cable network has even won over some of its haters, as my uncle loves Lifetime movies. In the beginning, movies were the network's only original programming, but today it does also feature dramas and reality shows. Still, the Lifetime original movie is its crown jewel, in no small part because they know how to pick the right women to showcase. Part inspirational, part tabloid, part justice. Lifetime original movies have spotlighted the disappearance of Natalie Holloway, Amanda Knox's trial in Italy, the life and death of Anna Nicole Smith, and the Lizzie Borden murders. So as they make their first movie for the big screen, Lifetime doesn't stray from their patented formula, showcasing a tabloid sensation from the late 1950s and early 60s, Beverly Aadland. Now, you might have no idea who I'm talking about, but back then, Beverly was all anyone talked about, at least for a little while. She was Errol Flynn's teenage mistress turned fiancée, who was with the aging movie star when he died suddenly in 1959. But what made the story ripe for the tabloids wasn't just their 33-year age difference, nor that he had allegedly been sleeping with her since she was 15. No, what really got the press and readers fired up was that her mother Florence apparently was aware of what was going on and facilitated it. That, plus the struggle over what was left of Flynn's finances, made for a classic Hollywood scandal. But does classic also mean been there, done that? Haven't we heard this story far too many times already? Well, in an effort to elevate the material, Lifetime has put together an impressive cast worthy of their first silver screen effort. Dakota Fanning stars as Beverly, Susan Sarandon as her mother Florence, and Kevin Kline as Errol Flynn. However, things get a little more unusual behind the camera, as the film is written and directed by Richard Glatzer and Walsh Westmoreland, the duo behind Quinceañera and The Fluffer. Although, that last one might have been the nickname for Errol Flynn's assistant.
So as you would expect from someone who runs a channel like Beyond the Trailer, I really enjoy stories about Hollywood, especially behind the scenes. And the studio system has some of the best behind the scenes stories to offer. It's the classic heyday of Hollywood, and it's really fascinating to behold how that system operated. So I, of course, would enjoy, I think, this movie on some level, regardless of the actual quality of the film. However, I'm happy to say I ended up enjoying it on many levels. There is the Hollywood insider level, of course, and I think the movie is very honest and real on a number of levels, but in this category, it's honest and real about Errol Flynn, not only showing him in a very honest light, but also showing the business and the culture, which was really an enabler to his behavior. So I really enjoyed that, especially because I'm not very familiar with Errol Flynn in general, so this was, I thought, a great introduction. Now, I also enjoyed it on the Lifetime level. As I said in my interview with Dakota Fanning, I think that many other people, particularly in Hollywood, would have approached this story from Errol Flynn's point of view. But to do it from the point of view of Beverly and her mother Florence, I think is much more interesting, because it really shows what happens to these two hapless people who are swept up into the Hollywood machine and think they're prepared, but in actuality are not. So again, that honesty and realism really comes into effect here. So I liked that a lot. I also felt, because it's a Lifetime movie, the depictions of Beverly and Florence were very honest and real. Again, you know, I'm using that term a lot here, but this film just felt, you know, it felt that way in terms of the way it told these characters' stories. It didn't try to put them through the ringer and trash them, but it didn't try and put them in this heavenly light either. Everybody was just a human being, and this is what happened when they interacted in this event. So I really like that as well. And, these were very strong female characters who were very well fleshed out and, had motivation and backstory. And it was very nice to see. I think sometimes people think that Lifetime movies sensationalize everything, and I'm sure some of them do, but this wasn't the case. This didn't sensationalize anything. It actually worked to, flesh out something that was sensationalized back in the day. And the final level I enjoyed it on, so far we have behind the Hollywood scenes, then also as a Lifetime film focusing on women. And then on the third level is, I have to say quite frankly, it is an actor's film. All three of them do a fantastic job. Dakota Fanning, Susan Sarandon, and Kevin Kline. Each one delivers, and they all work in partnership. And it's really very impressive. You can't single one of them out for doing a better job than the other. However, I would like to note, and a lot of you remember this, which I thought was great, that you remember that I said this, but when I reviewed the trailer for this film, I thought Dakota Fanning came off very poorly, that she came off stilted and unreal. But as I've been saying for this entire review, this is a very real and honest film. And I think that Dakota Fanning's performance is actually also very real and honest. It just, seeing it in short glimpses in a trailer just isn't favorable to the performance. But when you can see it as a whole, as it's intended, it comes across quite well. In fact, I would say this is the best job I've seen Dakota Fanning do since I Am Sam, the role that put her on a map when she was a small child and she acted opposite Sean Penn and held her own. But she's very good here, and the reason she comes across as stilted in the trailer is because she's depicting someone who has no control over what they think or what they do. Because first she's controlled by her mother and then by Errol Flynn. And she's just somebody who accepts it and becomes very internal because of that. She just turns inward and becomes passive. And occasionally you see glimpses of a personality there, a very strong personality actually, and Dakota Fanning is able to depict all those elements quite well. So I have to say though, despite all my praise for this film, you don't need to see it in theaters because it's not really cinematic. It actually reminded me a lot of Hitchcock from last year, the Anthony Hopkins Helen Mirren film, which was also very strong and also a behind-the-scenes movie in Hollywood, but both play like HBO movies. So while I wouldn't rush to see this in theaters, I wouldn't miss it either, especially if, like me, you enjoy these classic Hollywood stories. And Lifetime should feel really good that while they aren't quite at the silver screen level yet, they have elevated themselves from cable, basic cable, or the cable packages, I'm not sure how they break down, but to premium pay cable. So that's a step in the right direction. So that's my review of The Last of Robin Hood. If you've seen the film, I hope you'll leave your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for tuning into my review, and you can check out some more episodes right now.